So I competed in Solo Dev Game Jam #4, hosted by Solo Development, Captain Coder, Practical NPC, and this was a 3-day jam where you had to create a game based on a theme, which was 2-button controls. I have always wanted to join a game jam, but I never had the time or the courage to actually do so. So this was my first ever game jam, and I learned so much that I want you to listen and learn from my mistakes. The game idea I settled on was a simple game where a player is able to move only right and either shoot objects or not shoot. And it would be a puzzle game, so you would in some cases have to find out if you actually had to shoot, and in some cases where you shouldn't shoot. And now you will see a 2-minute montage of me actually building and creating the game. Okay, let's go. I created a character, created a shader for outlining a selected object, then created some animations for my character, then made that the next object on the right is highlighted. Then I made a hand with a gun. Then I tested out how everything works and looks. Then I had to rewrite all the code since it was lagging. And then again. And after 3 times of actually rewriting all the code for selecting a current object, turned out that it wasn't my code's problem, it was just because I was recording. Then I found a cruel mistake I made. Then I made bullets in UI. Then I made the gun actually aim at the objects that you were going to shoot. Then I made bullets actually shoot. Then I made awesome camera shake. Then I made bullet UI subtract when you shoot. Then I made particles for the moment the bullets shatter. Some tutorial text. A guy standing up after he falls. The guy falling. Then I made a sprite for the enemy. And for the person to be able to shoot and kill him. Then I made a tile set. Then I had to fix the code once again since I thought that it was lagging. Then I made awesome parallax effect. Then I repainted the assets and added a vignette. Then I added lighting. Then I added splashing particles. Then I added a sign with some information. Then I added some details. Started creating the level 2. Created a big rock asset. Created some awesome sound effects. Some def conditions and here. And here was a decision to make. There were only 7 hours left in the game jam, and I haven't really done anything, so I had a decision to make. Do I continue and make a worse game than I could have if I actually had the time? Or do I quit since I was already stressed and didn't really know if I could even finish it on time? So unfortunately the decision I made was to not compete in the game jam anymore, even though I opt out of the jam. It's important to note one thing, that I had fun, I learned a lot, and since it was my first game jam, I wasn't really intending on winning the game jam since it would have been very hard. But now let's talk about what tips I have for you as game developers, and maybe if you're thinking of actually competing in a game jam. So the first tip I have for you is to avoid these words. We'll come back later, because you will almost never come back to something you have done because there's not enough time to actually try and do that. So I recommend actually trying and finishing and not polishing fully, but actually having a good concept, and if it is some asset stuff, actually finishing it to not need to turn back and use a lot of precious time. The second tip I have for you is get detail amount right. Since if it is a long jam, yes, you can have some more detailed assets, put in some more work on the assets and what you actually create, but it was a 3-day jam for me. So you should work on polishing and making a great game rather than making it complicated or getting it really detailed, even though you shouldn't have time for that and focus on other things. The third tip is leaving polishing in the last place, since you will need to have some time in polishing, but I don't recommend you actually doing everything in one trip, since you don't know if you will actually have time for that, and it's more important to actually have a game done rather than have something really smooth or amazing. The fourth is a little bit repetitive, but I still think it's important, is do not overcomplicate things. if you overcomplicate your game, it will not feel smooth and you will probably not have enough time to actually finish it. As I did, I think that I dug a grave for myself by making it complicated and drawing all the assets and not actually having a main concept and trying to work on the first level, even though it wasn't that important. It was just a tutorial. So I wouldn't actually do it if I would compete again. Game with lots of assets and things to do isn't always the best for Game Jam. Yes, if you are actually making a game in your own time, you can do what you want. You can create a detailed, polished game which you do not have any restrictions on. But here in the Game Jams, I think that it is better to make a game. Now, some answers I have for myself. Will I compete again in some Game Jam? Hell yeah. Did I learn something from this? Of course. Do I recommend joining and competing in Game Jams? 100% yes. This is a really good way to learn something, create something, and just have a good time in general. I made a mistake of trying to make it very complicated, even though the thing I thought about and the game idea I had, I think it was brilliant, and I think I would have maybe even had a chance to win if I made it correctly. The problem I faced the most was the spaghetti code I got from trying to code as fast as I could, and I don't think I'm gonna repeat this problem again, and I think that in the next Game Jam I will perform way better than I did today. So that is pretty much it. The question I have for you now is, do you think I actually should finish this game and create and publish it on itch.io and let you play it and try and give me feedback just as a fun project maybe? So let me know, and that is pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.